What's up, guys? It's MB Boxing, and I just finished up watching Sergiy Derevyanchenko versus Carlos Adames, and this was a 10-rounder for the WBC middleweight world title eliminator, and this fight was Sunday, December 5th, from the Staples Center in Los Angeles, California, and this fight was broadcasted on Showtime pay-per-view, and in this fight, Carlos Adames was able to get a majority decision victory over Sergiy Derevyanchenko. I personally scored the bout 95-95, even a draw. I did agree with one judge who also scored it 95-95, but the other two judges scored it 97-93 and 96-94 in favor of Carlos Adames. Personally, I think the judges had it right. I mean, it was more swing in favor of Adames, if I'm going to be honest, because some of those rounds that I did give to Derevyanchenko were really, really close and competitive, and they could have went in favor of Adames. So I think that, they did have good scorecards. I would just say that. And I have no problem with them giving the decision to Adames. And comment down below your scorecard for this fight if you did watch it, because I'm very interested to see if some people had Derevyanchenko winning, if they had Adames winning, etc. So, yeah, I could even saw 96-94 for Derevyanchenko, because there was a few rounds that could have went either way. So I think either man could have won this fight, but some of those rounds were more swing in favor of Adames, especially early on. And just to break down the fight, at one point I had Carlos Adames ahead 40-36. I had him winning the first four rounds, and then Derevyanchenko took over in the later part of the fight. So let me just break down those first four rounds, where Carlos Adames was outboxing Derevyanchenko beautifully, hurt him a couple of times, and he looked excellent. How he was doing this, he was calculated on the outside and just counterpunching and sort of having a shoulder roll kind of style, shifting off the shoulder, landing counter right hands. He looked excellent, and he was out jabbing Derevyanchenko. He was also able to hurt Derevyanchenko a couple of times, specifically with that right hand. And he was really able to hurt Derevyanchenko in round two, especially when he backed him up with beautiful combinations after combination. Especially the right uppercut was landing a lot earlier in those first four rounds, and that's really why many people's scorecards he was ahead 4-0. But round four was definitely the closest round out of those couple that that Adames won in the first half. So then I gave Sergiy Derevyanchenko rounds 5 and 6, because he looked excellent in those rounds. In round 5, he actually hurt Adames with a beautiful shot. I can't remember if it was an uppercut or a left hook, but either way, it did hurt him, and Derevyanchenko was able to back him up. Adames was sort of backed up in the ropes, trying to clinch off the ropes with Derevyanchenko, but Derevyanchenko wouldn't let him do that. He was trying to push Adames off him and throw shots of his own, and the referee did warn Adames a couple of times, especially later on in the fight, for holding. So then in round 7, I did give it to Carlos Adames, but it was a razor-thin round that could have went either way. I just said Adames landed some better, cleaner shots in the latter part of the round, although Derevyanchenko did start strong. But then I gave Derevyanchenko the last 3 rounds, especially round 10 and round 9. In round 9 and round 10, Derevyanchenko was able to back up Adames, and Adames' body language wasn't that great. He was sort of shifting around, clinching Derevyanchenko a lot, had his hands down, was not responding well to the shots Derevyanchenko was hitting him with. But I think it's just because he was tired, and he really needs to work on his stamina for his next fight, which will most likely be a big one, as we'll talk about it later. So, yeah, with that being said, my scorecard read as 95-95, as I mentioned before. So, yeah, it was definitely a competitive fight. And with that being said as well, what is next for Carlos Adames? So, he's definitely due for a big fight, as the WBC did order a couple days ago that the winner of this fight will be fighting Jaime Munguia for a final eliminator, which will determine the mandatory for Jermall Charlo. So his next opponent is 100% going to be Jaime Munguia for a final eliminator, interim title, etc. It's going to be either one of those, but they will definitely get him a world title shot eventually if he's able to win it. Or beat Jaime Munguia. So, either man, Munguia or Adames, is going to fight Jermall Charlo next. And that's going to be an excellent fight. I wouldn't mind seeing either guy fight Charlo. So, yeah, his next opponent is going to be Jaime Munguia for a final eliminator to determine the mandatory challenger in the WBC for the middleweight division. But for Sergiy Derevyanchenko, I believe he's 35 years old, 36 years old, something like that. And he's relatively inactive. He's coming off 3 defeats or 3 straight losses. I'm going to be honest, I think he should retire. 3 straight losses. I know he's only had 17 fights, but still, he's had a long amateur career, and he arguably should have been world champion. He has had a great career as long as it lasted, or as short as it lasted, I guess you could say. So, I think he should hang the gloves up. I mean, he's getting older, as I mentioned before, and he's coming off 3 straight defeats. Although he's still proven as a top 10 middleweight, I mean, he's losing another one here, and this is the first time he's lost to a former champion, etc. So I think he should hang up the gloves. But who am I to tell him that? It's really him, his trainer, his family to decide. So overall, Carlos Adames defeats Sergiy Derevyanchenko, winning by majority decision to win the WBC middleweight world title eliminator and to earn a mandatory fight against Jaime Munguia. And yeah, that's really it. I'm MB Boxing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.